Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we are checking out Sua's solo No Dot, and I really don't know what to expect from this. I think part of that is because each of the solos so far that I have checked out have been so different, different vibes, different sounds, even the special clips have had different things going on, but also after watching the This Is videos for Sua, I just feel like she's always gonna be a few steps ahead of me, I'm never gonna quite know what she does next, so I don't know what this is gonna be. I'm not entirely sure what, vibe she kind of falls in with the different genres and things that we've seen so far. I have had people tell me that back in the Minx days, she was a rapper, so maybe we'll get some of that in this. We haven't really seen that because even Dami wasn't so much doing rap in her solo for this time, so I really have no idea what this song is going to be, but I'm very, very excited to check it out. So of course we're going to be starting with just listening to the song, getting some of the lyrics and listening to the vocals and production and stuff like that, and then checking out the special clip afterwards. So let's get into listening to this song. Okay. Okay, there's already a lot happening. Okay, so almost this a marching band sound, which is a little bit intimidating. Love the horns and brass that's happening, but it also sounded like a creaking door opening, which look, I love really weird decisions in production. The reason I loved Some Love so much was because it just had some of the weirdest production going on, so putting in something like a creaking door is really cool. I'm slightly intimidated by a strong start to this so far. What even is this production? In the best way possible. No, okay, cool. Okay, so I know it's really starting. Bear with me. But the fact that it had all of these different textures with the production, there's all these different things going on in it. It's not even a bass. It sounds like a guitar that's on a lower end. It might even just be a synth that's kind of guitar-esque. There's not a lot of natural, not acoustic, but analog, I guess. Except for the brass sounds a little bit more actual instruments playing, as opposed to the other sounds which sound a bit more like they're either synths or samples that have been put into different filters and stuff like that. But then the way that it cut out with her starting with her vocals, love that. You have all of these different things going on, and me trying to pick out all these different things, and then it cuts out, all of that crowded sound dissipates for her vocal. No, okay. Breathing. We have to breathe and we have to have full thoughts. That's the goal right now. Okay, so wow, okay, so I don't even have words, but the way that she's delivering these vocals, it's a little bit in her lower part of her range. I don't know, there's almost a intentional stilting sound to it, where things don't necessarily flow together, and it's kind of what I was talking about with the production, where it has all these different elements in it that are I don't know, almost industrial in the way that they're being produced together, and then having her vocals kind of fit with that kind of off-kilter sound. I feel I'm just gonna be fascinated the whole time. Whoa. Okay, there was one part where she kind of I've said she's been in more of this lower part of her range, and then she kind of shifted up a little bit. It wasn't anything a super crazy jump, because she's still staying in her chest range, but she just kind of flipped up a few notes, which it has a kind of a playfulness to it, which feels kind of the vibe of the song, where like she's not here to play, you know, and it's her saying like, you can kind of like say all of these things about me, even like this, it says, even if you hurt me, like you can try to bring me down, but you're not going to do it. I'm going to do whatever I feel like. And, you know, there's no like if, ands, or buts. This is just who I am. I'm going to do what I like. And if you don't like that, I guess you need to be somewhere else. So having that little bit where she is really playing with the way that she's singing, both like switching into that higher note, but also like the more stilted way that she's singing certain parts, and then she'll flow really nicely in other parts. She's really switching up the cadence of how she's singing, and then just the production in it too, having all these little textures to it, and then having more like auto tune on the backing vocals that are kind of doing this call and response. There's just like a lot happening, and I feel like that is part of the message of like, this is it, this is me, this is what I want to do, this is what I enjoy doing with my music, and there's nothing you can do about it. So having all of these different elements that, I don't know, should feel crowded if they weren't done in the right way, is really just making her this outlier. And also like having seen the videos where it's more of like Sua's personality, where she is very like out of the box and loud, and I say that in a complimentary way, but like she's very like energetic. She has this huge personality. She has so much energy, and she brings up the energy of people around her, that I feel like this song really fits with that, because yeah, it's off kilter, and like most people wouldn't get to this place of like being able to create something like this, but it's so well put together that it pulls you along with it, right? Like I feel like I'm not fully I'm like trying so hard to pick everything out. I'm like so focused when I'm listening, and I feel like that's such a good way of doing this, because it commands attention, right? I don't know, it's loud, it's in your face, it's unapologetic, just with like the way that even the production works. And I'm so fascinated by it. Like a completely different way, especially with the last solo I did was Shiyun's, where I was like fascinated in a completely different way to like the way that I'm fascinated about this one. Like it's all of her solos are so good. Ooh, see, even there where like we had all this stiltedness, and even like the kind of glitching out with the backing vocals that are like very they have like a bunch of filters and stuff on them, and then really smoothing all of it out, and her getting to show off her vocal ability, right? I love that contrast. Both like it grabs interest and it adds these different elements to the song too, but it's, you know, showing off that she could do both, right? She can have this more industrial sounding song and playing a little bit more with the vocals on like a lower range, and then this is a little bit higher and she's smoothing those out. Wow, okay. We're picking up though. With the layered vocals in the back too. No, okay. That drop literally chills up my whole body. Wow. Okay, it was a good drop in general, but like the production, the guitars, I think this is the first like really rock sound that I've had so far with the solos. We had kind of a pop rock, punk pop kind of sound with Dami's, but most of them have been more on the pop side. We had a little bit of a ballad moment with Shiyun's. This is the first time I've heard something that sounds a little bit more like what I've heard with the singles from Dreamcatcher as a whole group, and yet there's something different to it, you know? Like it's still something that feels very Sua as like a personality. And granted, I don't know that much about her. Wow, there's almost like a mic drop moment with that, the actual drop of the song. I gotta hear it again. I know it's probably gonna come again, but ooh, I think this is part of what she's saying in the part of the This Is videos, but also, I know that I'm interrupting, I'm gonna go all the way back, don't worry. But I love the fact that, okay, so there's like the no dot, for me, it thinks like there's no stop, right? Like a dot, I think like a period, which is a full stop at the end of like a sentence, right? And she talked a little bit about like destiny and stuff. So I see it as almost like a story, right? The end of a story is always a period, regardless of what the story is. You know, like every written story, at least in Roman alphabet, ends with a period. And her saying like, we don't have that. There's no full stop at the end of this. There's just whatever the next thing is, even if it's different, even if I change, even if the person that I am and who's making stuff is completely different from the person that I am right now, I'm still doing things. I'm still creating. I'm still being authentically who I am, unapologetically. It's just that I've changed. But then having like this very like heavy filters on the vocals that are really distorting them, but then having those beautiful like layered vocal moments with the like eyes. I'm trying not to sing because I feel like y'all aren't here to hear me sing, but having that contrast between those two things, it's just like I was saying before about having like the verse that had that more industrial sound, and then having the pre-chorus that had this more flowing vocal, and then that happening very rapidly in the chorus. It's like I can have all of the above, you know, like there's no stop, there's no period, there's no dot at the end of this. There's just me doing whatever I want. And her talking about like literally saying like I switch, right, is one of the lyrics. So it's literally her saying like I change, I do whatever I want. Even like there was a lyric before she's like, people might think I'm crazy, you might call me crazy, but like it doesn't, like there's no stopping my destiny, there's no stopping this journey that I'm on, so what does it matter? Oh my gosh, only a minute into the song, I need to calm down. I know exactly which playlist I'm putting this on. Let's just say I have a hype playlist, and this needs to be on it. Okay. I love a stop in the production, just a thing that I have, especially something that is so production heavy in this song, to have that like stop, but then she just like shh in that, like not only does that fit really well with like the quiet of this, all of the production pulling out, but I feel like it's also like stop talking, sit down and let me do my thing. Like it has this feeling of command to it. There's just like boss energy to this, and I'm entirely here for it. God, I just remembered that there's a special clip, and I'm like not sure how I'm gonna survive that. Continue. She literally said I'm a boss. But we're getting some rapping. Oh my gosh, okay. I need to calm down. Oh my goodness. Okay, I love the feeling of like it's me who's gone crazy. Like okay, like that feeling of like, and her saying like you're gonna follow me and stuff like that. It's this feeling of her again being that outlier. At least this is my interpretation of the song, and I have been wrong with their solos before, so you know, flashback to my interpretation of Cherry, which was just like completely wrong of what was going on, but I don't know, I'm gonna try anyway. But like that conversation of like, am I like, I'm the one who's gone crazy, I'm the one who's like mad for doing this, for making the things that I make, or being the person that I am, or trying the things that I'm trying. And I know with the group there's lots of things that they've done where it should have kind of been career ending in a lot of ways, like re-debuting and doing more rock sounds in, you know, like a K-pop like industry. And you know, even some of the things that they've done with their music is very different. Like even this of like the industrial sound, I feel like is a really hard sell. I'm thinking of some other artists, even like within the K-pop realm, who have been called like too loud or too chaotic and stuff like that, where people just like hate on them for having that more heavy production sound. And so people, you know, pointing out these things in her career that would have been seen as like crazy, or, you know, just kind of insane to try, and her saying like, that's fine, you're going to follow my footsteps though, right? Like I'm going to clear a path for myself doing this the way that I want to, and then everyone's going to try and copy me anyway. So, I might as well do whatever I want. And I love getting the like rapping too, and ugh. I love the laugh in the production too. I heard that the backing vocals, I hear you. I like even like this part because I feel like this part is slower and it's more vulnerable and stuff, and she sounds fantastic, especially since this part of the pre-chorus she's putting more into her vocals, and I love that dynamic. Like we've already seen her do like what 3 or 4 different voices. We had like the lower subtle voice, we had some softer vocals, we had rapping. Now we're getting a little bit more of a belting sound to her voice, like she's putting more behind what she's singing, and I feel some of that is like getting into the song, trying to put more energy into it, which is a great dynamic. But also her talking about like I'm gonna do whatever I want, her kind of having that confidence, and then there's this moment of more vulnerability of saying like, what if this, even if this disappears, even if everything is broken, that thought of like, even if I lose everything, it's saying like, I just want you to stay, right? It's that feeling of the people who matter are gonna stay. The people who legitimately care about who she isn't going to sit there and judge her for doing things that speak to her, that are her, right? Her making a song like this or making the other music that she does. And I'm sure there are people who are fans of them before they were Dreamcatcher who were super happy that they decided to re-debut as Dreamcatcher and continue to make music. And people like me who just really love rock music and industrial sounds, and I'm totally here for all of the weird production choices. Her saying like, even if it gets to a point where I'm not the highest I've ever been, as long as the people who legitimately care about me are there, that's what matters to me. Like the ones who really care about who she is. She could do all of these things that seem crazy, that seem like career enders, that seem like she's pushing too hard against what are like industry standards and stuff like that. It's just like this wonderful moment of like more of a like, I don't know, like authentic emotion after all of this more like, I don't know, swagger that she has for the rest of the song. Like her having this moment where she gets to speak more to the people who care about her. I guess it could be the other members too. Oh, the drop is so good. I really hope there's some great choreo to this because I'm gonna learn it. I love the horns that are like, not to like interrupt this build up, but like the horns that are kind of like almost like pulsing in and out. Like there's this, like this part seems like a mixture of what I was talking before, but we have this more in your face production and like story to the song, and then these more vulnerable pulled back production, and then this feels a lot like switching between those, where she's more singing in a normal cadence that she would, and then having these moments of like those like filtered horn section kind of like coming in and out, again having this like mixture between those two modes, right? Wow, she just stayed up there, didn't she? I was like waiting for it to cut out, and she was like, nah, I'm just gonna hold it for a second. Just let me show off. Wow. Wow, and I noticed like going back, she didn't like, there wasn't a break there. She slid up there. So instead of like finishing the line, or even like doing most of the line and then getting to that last word, like taking a breath and then singing the last word to to get into that big belting note, she just like continued to sing and then flipped up into that note, which was like, I want to see her sing this live now, because being like not taking a breath right before that, obviously it's hard to tell with a recording, but there's no break in that moment. Like, you would have to be kind of a wizard in editing to do that with just like her finishing a word and then putting in the note afterwards. Like, she definitely in the booth was singing that whole part. Like, wow. Wow. Ooh, the more like, sorry, I like paused. I got too excited. More like percussion. Good lord. I love that it kind of, we had that moment of her showing off her vocal, and then it was just letting the production take over. I love a percussion section. Goodness, I feel like there are so many things, and I feel like I did not pick out all of them because trying to do everything simultaneously is like too much for my brain, but wow. I loved the production. I loved the heavier sounds mixing with the lighter sounds in the production. I loved that, like I said, she did like how many different kinds of voices in this, and getting to hear some more of her rap. I don't feel like I've really heard her do that. She's probably done some of it and I'm just like not thinking of it. And just like the vibe of the song, like definitely going on a playlist. I may be stalling a little bit because there's a special clip for this song and I don't know how I'm going to survive, because the energy that I'm already getting from this song. Look, I saw the little montages of Fatal Sua in the This Is, and I feel like that's going to be just the whole special clip. Oh, it's going to be a lot, but we shall watch it anyway. And if you see me just kind of panic or have some malfunctioning happening, it's fine. I'll reboot. It'll be fine. I'm so not ready for this. I'm like a little bit scared. It's like a whole 3 minutes. Okay. Go. Ooh, I love the like red tint of the dress. Man. I think this is the first like full kind of dance thing that we've seen, right? Because the other clips have had dancing in them, but it hasn't been all out and it hasn't been the whole thing. Look at this. I'm like, I love dancing so much too. Ooh. I love the switching between the like shadows, the silhouettes, and having the lights up, but also, hang on, it was before this moment where like the movement kind of like tracked through. Hang on, I can't explain it while I'm not a dancer, but that part where it like, she started with like her leg, hip, and then it went all the way up to her shoulders and her head. I feel like it's gonna be a lot of rewinding and pausing. Nice hand detail. Oh, the glitching in the camera too is cool. I'm a little nervous about her being the scaffolding though. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I just realized I was just like staring a little bit. It's fine, okay? You were probably staring too. It's fine. I love that transition though, like of her alone, again, having that moment of like vulnerability that I was talking about before, the blues, which is like a softer color. It's more of a serene color usually. And then having that switch back to like the red with both like her dress and the lights and the more aggressive movements and that kind of a thing. So again, just like the visual storytelling of it. The way she goes from like smirking to just like intense eye contact though. I don't know if the eyebrow raise is necessary. Okay, but like pausing partly because I need like a moment, you know, pick my jaw off the floor and what have you. But also I love how she has these moments of like more like intense choreo that's happening, which by the way, shout out to all the background dancers because they've been like in all of the special clips and they've just been doing amazing. But she had like these more like intense movements in like the verse, and then of course we slowed down for the pre-chorus, and in the chorus it was more of a, I don't know, it had like these like bigger, more like drawn out movements, and it's, I don't know, it sat a little bit more and it had this feeling of, I don't know, like tension kind of between the moments of more intense movement and then slowing down, which I feel like fits with it a lot more because I used the word like swagger before, which I feel like fits a lot more with that controlled slowing down and speeding up to the dancing as opposed to just like more aggressive, faster paced dancing. I like getting to see the switches in her dancing style. Like that, like a really slow shoulder movement. Okay. Background, Mr. Background Dancer. I don't know if the body rules were necessary, but I am gonna rewind for you. Oh, I love that of her like little like giggle behind the hands. Oh, the lights are cool, like pointing at her silhouette. I kind of like that choreo too, where she gets like spun around backwards, because it's almost like she's fine standing forward. Like, if I can kind of put the narrative behind it, and I might be wrong, but she's kind of like standing normal forwards, and then the moment that she makes contact with someone else, it kind of flips her around and she looks backwards, that right? Which is kind of what she was talking about with the actual lyrics of the song, of her talking about how, like, am I the one who's crazy, or like, is it just that other people have thought this way about me, and because they have these expectations of who I should be, I seem crazy in comparison. So having that movement where she literally turns, I think she gets turned around by these people and she looks like she's backwards, but there's also this other confidence to it of, you know, turning your back to someone, like the confidence that you can just turn away and walk away, right? That you don't need to have that in your life. I don't know, it stuck out to me. Because she doesn't really look back either. See that too, like that slow hand movement. Just very controlled. The hair flips are also very well choreographed in this. Whoa. Whoa, okay, no. I love the rapid switching between like the different scenes where she has the different outfits, but then that kick out on the like drop into the end of the song. Love that. again, more intense movements, and yet they're kind of slow confidence to it too. Yeah, you did just perform that like that. That is what just happened. Wow. Okay, let's debrief on things. Meet back. So like a few different firsts in that, like one, getting more like a choreo heavy special clip, which we haven't really had up to this point. A lot of it's been more fun dancing. Like we had the first like 3 solos that I did were more on like the fun side anyway, and then you had Xiun's, which is more of a ballad, so the intense choreo just wouldn't have worked in that setting. But then having this song that is very, like I've said, like industrial, but like EDM, there was some stuff in there too, so having the more intense choreo works with that. And I know that Sua is one of the dancers within the group. Obviously they all dance, but she's more specialized in that, I'm pretty sure. Now I feel like I don't have the confidence to say that, but I'm pretty sure she is. So seeing her being able to show off that different dancing, and like I said before, but her switching up with her voice, she also switched up a lot with the dancing with different textures in it. And again, I don't know that much about dancing in and of itself, but I really liked the storytelling of her having those slower movements, but then these like big movements behind them, where she would have like these big arm movements or the kick or something, and then it would slow down into something like that shoulder movement that she had. So there was this contrast of like powerful but also confident enough to be able to slow down and like command attention. And the switching of the different outfits too, that idea of like, it's almost like hot and cold, right? Because we have the red of the one dress and the blue of the other dress, so like she can do both. Again, that switch that she literally talks about in the lyrics, but also is shown through the whole entirety of the song. Yeah, I just like, I feel like this is a song that like I'm going to listen to all the time, immediately going on a playlist, going to have to listen to it a bunch of times, and I really want to see it live. So that's where I'm at post No Dot. All these solos, you know, every time I do one, there's something else going on with them, and that I just adore that so much. I love getting to see the full range of what they all want to do, and the stories that they're telling, and how they're deciding to tell that through the different genres and stuff. So I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so to miss next time I post a Dreamcatcher reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!